You ask an AI assistant to write one email. It takes 6 seconds. It feels almost free, but somewhere far away. A warehouse full of computers wakes up. Electricity flows through thousands of chips, cooling systems roar. And your tiny request joins an industrial boom that is quietly competing for power, copper, land, water, construction workers, and money. That competition does not stay inside Silicon Valley. It reaches your electricity bill. It reaches the price of a new laptop. It reaches the interest rate on your mortgage. And eventually, it reaches almost everything you buy. For years, artificial intelligence was sold as software. Clean, weightless, digital. But the AI boom is not floating in a cloud. The cloud is a building. A very large building. Usually several buildings. Inside are rows of servers packed with specialized chips, connected by miles of cable, cooled by industrial equipment, and fed by a power grid that was never designed for every major technology company to demand a small city's worth of electricity at the same time. That is where the price pressure begins. A data center is basically a factory for computation. Instead of turning steel into cars, it turns electricity into answers, images, predictions, advertisements, and automated decision. Training a large AI model means showing enormous amounts of data to enormous numbers of chips, over and over, until the system becomes better at predicting what comes next. Using the model afterward is called inference. That simply means the model is doing its job each time you ask a question, generate an image, summarize a document, or let a company analyze millions of customers. Training gets the headlines. Inference may become the larger long-term bill. Why? Because a model may be trained a few times, but used billions of times. The International Energy Agency has warned that electricity demand from data centers is rising rapidly, with AI becoming one of the largest drivers. In the United States, researchers at Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory estimated that data centers used roughly 4% of total electricity in 2023 and could consume somewhere between about 6, 7, and 12% by 2028. That is not a small efficiency upgrade. That is a new industrial sector arriving on the grid at high speed. And the grid is not an app. You cannot update it overnight. A power plant can take years to approve and build. A high-voltage transmission line can take even longer. Transformers, the large machines that adjust electricity voltage so power can move safely through the grid, have faced long delivery times. New substations require land, steel, copper, engineers, permits, and construction crews. When demand rises faster than supply, the price of scarce things usually rises. That lesson is older than IDY. Alfred Marshall, one of the founders of modern economics, described prices as the result of supply and demand working together, like two blades of a pair of scissors. I is pushing down hard on the demand blade. The supply blade is moving much more slowly. You can already see the result in regional power markets. In parts of the eastern United States, the PJM electricity market pays power plants not only for the electricity they produce today, but also for being available when demand peaks in the future. This is called a capacity market. In plain English, customers pay to make sure enough power will exist on the hottest afternoon or the coldest night. As data center demand surged, capacity prices jumped dramatically. Those higher costs can eventually flow into utility bills, depending on how regulators and utilities divide the expense. And that last part matters. AI does not automatically raise every household's bill by the same amount. Electricity pricing is political as well as economic. A giant data center may sign a special contract. A utility may require it to pay for new infrastructure, or the cost of a new power line may be spread across millions of regular customers who never asked for it. Same data center, very different bill. That is why states are now arguing over who pays. Some regulators are creating special rates for extremely large electricity users. The idea is simple. If a company requires a new substation, new transmission equipment, and enough power for hundreds of thousands of homes, the company should not quietly hand most of that construction bill to your family. But utilities often want data centers. They bring enormous, predictable demand. They can increase tax revenue. They can make a region look technologically important. And they arrive with corporations promising jobs, investment, and prestige. The local bargain can sound wonderful until you count the jobs. A data center may cost billions of dollars to build, but once operating, it can employ far fewer people than a traditional factory of similar value. So your town may approve tax incentives for a project that consumes huge amounts of power and land, while creating fewer permanent jobs than residents expected. The public gets the infrastructure strain. The technology company gets the computing capacity. The shareholders get the growth story. Your power bill gets a mysterious new line item. Electricity is only the first channel. The second is hardware. AI systems depend on advanced semiconductors. A semiconductor is a tiny piece of material designed to control electrical signals. Put billions of microscopic switches on one chip, and you get the computing engine behind a modern AI model. When every large technology company wants the same advanced chips, the same memory, the same networking equipment, and the same manufacturing capacity, shortages appear. Prices rise. Delivery schedules stretch. Companies begin reserving production years in advance. This can make servers more expensive. It can also raise the cost of other electronics competing for related components, manufacturing tools, shipping capacity, or engineering talent. The effect will not be identical for every phone or laptop, but the pressure spreads through the supply chain. Then comes copper. Copper carries electricity. It sits inside power cables, transformers, cooling systems, server racks, generators, electric motors, and almost every part of the grid expansion that AI requires. You cannot build a digital economy without a very physical mountain of metal. If AI investment accelerates while electric vehicles, renewable energy, housing, and military demand are also consuming copper, the same material gets pulled in several directions. Mining supply does not respond quickly. A new copper mine can take more than a decade to discover, permit, finance, and develop. So a boom in data centers can help increase the price of the materials needed for homes, appliances, vehicles, and public infrastructure. Your AI chatbot never sends you a copper invoice. The cost appears somewhere else. Maybe in the price of an air conditioner, maybe in a utility project, maybe in a new apartment building, maybe in the taxes needed to repair or expand local infrastructure. This is how inflation often works. Inflation does not mean every price rises for the same reason. It means the average price level is increasing across the economy. One category may rise because of oil, another because of wages, another because of tariffs, another because millions of companies suddenly want the same chips, transformers, electricians, and megawatts. The Federal Reserve watches these pressures because its job includes keeping inflation near a long-run target of 2%. When inflation stays too high, the Fed may keep interest rates higher. An interest rate is simply the price of borrowing money. Higher rates make mortgages, car loans, business loans, and credit card balances more expensive. So the AI boom can affect your finances even if your local electricity bill barely changes. Imagine technology companies spend hundreds of billions of dollars building data centers. Construction firms become busier. Engineers become harder to hire. Power equipment sells out. Chip demand rises. Electricity demand climbs. The economy grows faster in some sectors, but inflation also becomes harder to cool. The Fed sees that demand remains strong and delays cutting rates. You then apply for a mortgage. The bank does not care that you rarely use AI. Your loan is priced in the same economy. The result is the strangest possible chain reaction. A company orders more AI servers. A utility builds more generation. Inflation stays sticky. Interest rates remain elevated. Your monthly house payment is higher. No robot appears at your front door. The bills still arrive. Now reconstruct a simple household. You earn $80 a year. Your electricity bill rises by $15 a month. That is $180 a year. Your new laptop costs $100 more than expected. Your car insurance company spends heavily on AI systems and passes part of its technology cost into premiums. Your landlord faces higher power, cooling, financing, and construction costs and raises rent by $50 a month. Then higher interest rates add hundreds of dollars to the monthly cost of buying a home. No single charge destroys your budget. Together, they quietly absorb the raise you thought would finally help you get ahead. This is why the AI inflation story is more important than the price of one chatbot subscription. The real cost is distributed. It hides inside energy, housing, hardware, financing, insurance, logistics, and taxes. But here's the counterintuitive twist. AI could eventually make many things cheaper. That is not marketing fantasy. It is a real economic possibility. If AI helps workers design products faster, reduce waste, discover better materials, manage power grids more efficiently, automate paperwork, diagnose equipment failures, and improve logistics, then productivity can rise. Productivity means producing more useful output from the same amount of time and resources. Higher productivity is one of the few forces that can raise living standards without simply raising prices. Robert Solow, the Nobel Prize-winning economist, showed how technological progress can drive long-run economic growth. But he also joked in the 1980s that computers were visible everywhere except in productivity statistics. The lesson was not that computers were useless. The lesson was that a new technology often requires years of investment, reorganization, training, and experimentation before the economy captures the full benefit. AI may follow the same pattern. First comes the spending boom, then the bottlenecks, then the waste, then, maybe, the productivity payoff. And there's another warning from economic history. William Stanley Jevons observed that when steam engines became more efficient at using coal, total coal consumption did not fall. It rose, cheaper. More efficient steam power encouraged people to use far more of it. This became known as the Jevons paradox. Efficiency can reduce the cost of one unit while increasing total demand so much that overall resource use grows. AI chips are becoming more efficient. Models are becoming cheaper to run. But if cheaper AI causes every email, advertisement, search result, customer service call, medical record, camera, car, and household device to use AI constantly, total electricity demand may still explode. Your single request gets cheaper. The world makes 1 trillion more requests. That is the trap. People often imagine technological progress as a straight line from expensive to cheap. The real path is messier. A technology may lower the cost of one task while increasing demand for everything around it. Cars made travel faster, then required highways, parking lots, oil infrastructure, insurance, suburbs, and enormous public spending. Smartphones made communication nearly free, then created a permanent market for data plans, cloud storage, digital advertising, subscriptions, and device upgrades. AI can make intelligence-like services cheaper while making electricity, grid equipment, premium chips, skilled labor, and capital more valuable. So what should you do with this? Do not panic buy semiconductor stocks because a chart went up. Do not assume every utility company will become rich. And do not conclude that using an AI assistant is morally equivalent to setting a power plant on fire. The useful response is more ordinary. Watch your local electricity policy. Notice whether data centers receive tax breaks or special power contracts. Understand that higher technology investment can keep interest rates elevated even when the rest of the economy feels weak. Be skeptical when a company promises that AI will immediately lower prices. It may lower its labor costs without lowering what it charges you. Companies do not automatically pass savings to customers. They pass savings when competition forces them to. That difference belongs to another economist, Joseph Schumpeter, who described capitalism as creative destruction. New technologies destroy old business models and create new ones. But the destruction and the creation do not happen evenly. Some workers lose income before new jobs appear. Some towns pay for infrastructure before tax revenue arrives. Some consumers pay higher prices before productivity improves. Some investors become very rich, while the public finances the grid beneath them. The AI boom may eventually produce extraordinary abundance. It may help generate cheaper medicine, better energy systems, faster scientific discovery, and more efficient companies. It may also become one of the largest capital spending races in modern history. Both can be true. The machine can be revolutionary. The build-out can still be inflationary. So, the next time you ask an AI assistant to write one email, remember what actually happens. It still takes 6 seconds. It still feels almost free. But the answer is powered by a physical economy, and somewhere inside your electricity bill, your rent, your mortgage rate, or the price of your next device, the invoice may already be waiting.